So am I worried about worries about a missing piece, and I still think I am missing one replacement counter at the low end of things, but maybe I misplaced it. But I had a worry about this missing 8th Corps artillery. Well, I don't. It shows up at 7 a.m. here. 8th Corps artillery 1, 2, 3, and then gosh, it shows up again at 10. 8th Corps artillery 1, 2, 3. Well, I'll just leave it as I've got it set up and bring them in when I do. But unless I'm supposed to have twice as many 8th Corps artillery than the counter sheet shows, I'm assuming I'm pretty good in terms of pieces. Okay, so we got some new troops coming in right in here. Part of this 8th Corps. I don't know who. Under Mortier Dupas. Great. But that'll help fill in the gap here and hopefully be able to prevent those weakened Saxons from getting knocked aside easily. We'll see. Most of the in-between turn stuff, there's almost nothing. I mean, other than the mechanical act of removing all these activations. Roll for weather, highly unlikely to do anything. 1 in 6 chance of a little bit of wind, which I think can affect the artillery fire or something, maybe, as well as changing the weather for next turn. And then, what else? Place reinforcements, and that's it, and you're ready to go, and you're back in this very roll a die, see what happens type sequence of play. So let's start rolling dice and seeing what happens. Again, the way this game represents things has just caused nothing but problems for me. I gotta try to figure out what the hell, how to undo what I just did here. Okay, so these dummy markers were here. And here, I think. I don't know. Anyway, maybe it was here. I've got this unit here, this Saxon unit with the extensions coming off of it. Here's what's wrong. Maybe I had this extension here where it really doesn't belong and it should all be in one place. I think that's actually the case because these very fine lines between the areas are hard to see, and it looked like this was one unit. So what I did was I launched some artillery attacks, and I'll mark these suckers off so that I don't move them again because I don't want to make another action. But that's the 6th and the 2nd. Attached some artillery, fired, got pins on everything. Let's get those in place. And then said, oh yeah, I should attack this. And I don't know if this was here or here anymore. But I destroyed the unit until I realized, hey, this cav over here is part of the same area, and I couldn't attack it without attacking that cav, and I had no chance. And I had already calculated out there's no chance of making the attack here. I don't know what I'm doing. This game, the physical components, the way that they hinder the ability to understand what's going on is very high. Now, you could say the same about some things like Musket and Pike or Great Battles of History with their stacks of counters. This certainly has that with these piles here. They're all single units, but they're just these piles of cav or whatever. But there aren't a lot of things that aren't combat units on here. But damn, when I can't tell what I'm attacking and what I'm planning to attack, it's a rough situation. Hexes are very easy to deal with that. Most area games are easy to deal with that. But this one takes sort of a cross between area combat and pure minis game. But it's not. The pieces aren't where they really are. The long infantry are, these little guys aren't. They're in some sort of magical limbo where they're floating around and can come in anywhere they like. And it just doesn't, I'm not seeing the battlefield correctly. Add to that the difficulty of recognizing the units, and this is really harsh. Anyway, I'll keep trying, but this is... French moved their 8th Corps reinforcements up here, did some bombardment, didn't do anything with it. Then from there, the Russians got a whole bunch of failures, and you can see activations chewed up, including down here. Not that when I can actually use the units I can do any better with them. This is sort of this weird static situation where you don't want to attack for the most part. Maybe you can maneuver and do something normally in this game, but the current situation with the Russians unable to move and the French heavily outnumbered. I mean, I would love to bring this thing into battle to attack, but the only place I could bring it in was up here, which was weird because, hey, I've got this dummy here. What the hell does that mean? If I cut in there, is that allowed? I don't know. So I want to swing around with it. Well, the movement is too slow to get into range with that just yet. So, I mean, that's fine. I just feel helpless with the Russians because everywhere I look, I try to set something up and I find, oh shit, there's a pile of Frenchmen there that I couldn't see because of the representational issues. Well, the game's certainly taking less time. Once I kind of decided, hey, I can't do anything with the French, I ran through almost all their activations came in a row, and now I've started going through some Russian ones, and they keep getting activate one unit. One unit ain't enough. It really isn't. So I'm waiting to get at least 2 units in command. Maybe I'll be able to punch somewhere, but I don't even really believe that's likely. Like over here, I just want to swap those 2 at the very least. And I can't do that unless I can activate for both. I also want to be able to combine artillery. But, you know, a pin result, which is what I've gotten over here, that's not terribly valuable. That helps if I'm going to launch an attack in that area, which I thought I was, but it just doesn't do it, you know, in terms of actually causing casualties. You want the numbers. You want to kill things. And I got a double inactivation, which I think pretty much killed my chances of doing anything. I dropped the 3rd, I guess. Wait, I've got this 8th Cav. Is that part of the 8th Infantry Division? I don't know. You know, I keep running against this same kind of question here because the Advanced Guard I am playing as part of, but if I look over at the 8th Infantry, it's over here, but the 8th Division is over here, or 8th Infantry. It looks like they're connected, so I think they're one unit, but are they not? I really don't know. Because, for example, with the French, they have this infantry force, cav force, but that's over in a different scenario, in a different layout. And if it is, then the 6th was part of the 6th here, and I hadn't been playing it that way. Would really be nice if the rules were very specific about this force definition aspect. I'm beginning to get the feeling that I'm going to understand it at some point or another, but that's probably not going to come until right around noon, and then it changes, the scenario changes, and the force definitions change. And that's disturbing too. All in all, the game is really not designed, you know, is not presented in a way that it's easy to absorb and digest what's really going on here. Add to that the other issues. But anyway, I think the Russians are pretty much done. I'm just calling it here, and I'm going to go on and try to build those bridges because I don't want to waste time trying to figure that shit out. I either get something going or I don't. Okay, so having to do with these bridges, what do we got here? We got to roll a die here. On a 5 or a 6, we've built a pontoon bridge, and we've got 2 places where we're building them. Let's see if we get them. Bang, bang. We got one in the second one. The second one was the one closer to the river for me. That looks like I should use this little thing here. Next turn, that one will be automatic. I can move this guy somewhere else, maybe over to this side, try to build more bridges. Just, you know, opening up a way across so that I can try to retreat. I'd like to retreat, but I haven't caused the casualties yet. I've only caused 1, 2, that's 4. I don't know what that is, maybe a half. And I've taken some of my own, so I don't know. Well, now we get to see something. The 8th Corps plowed into the woods here where the Guard, Advanced Guard Support Unit, whatever, we're all there. They're in the woods, that's half strength. Whoops, not used to that. I'm not sure what that's supposed to represent. I guess the unit is just a little into the woods where it's really disrupted by it, yet the attacker's not at all affected by it. Strange situation. I've just never seen a game handle make that claim, that the woods was serious disadvantage to being in. In general, if you're fighting in the woods, well, I mean, the idea here, it makes sense. Hey, if I'm in clear terrain and you're in the woods, most games actually provide you with this defensive benefit to the woods, which I think is bullshit. But if you were right at the edge of the woods, kind of scattered in there, and didn't come out into this little bit of clear here, right, then you're in trouble. There's no question. I'd say that is affecting your ability to operate as a reasonable unit, and you would likely break. On the other hand, if you were in the woods at any depth and you were attacked, both sides would be fighting in the woods, and it would be a pretty bloody engagement at close range. Not necessarily good for either. Of course, the French have an advantage in the woods anyway, but it's not that big. They're still halved there. They may not have wanted to advance, but, well, they're facing more woods here. There's nothing really in danger. Their flank is covered, so they're okay. Alright, all the French activations came at the early part of the turn, and at some point or another I decided I'm not going to activate this cav. It really didn't have much to do. And then the Russians got a number of opportunities to withdraw, but they also drew some, hey, you're not going anywhere results. So you see they pulled back here on their left flank. But over here to the right, things are more scattered. In the center, they've kind of got an exposed flank here that they couldn't do much about once they decided to withdraw. Pontoons moving forward, another bridge across. They're hoping to get out. They, like me, want to get off this battle as quickly as possible. This little thing is to indicate that the next turn is windy. Now, I was a little mistaken. It doesn't affect artillery fire. The only thing it affects is fire, i.e. if buildings are in fire, whether they spread or not, as well as the weather for the next turn. So we'll see. I'll load this one up. Here's our current losses. Most of these off that one Saxon unit here for the French, but that still counts as 4. I don't remember what they need, 7, 9, something like that. And then this little bit here. Here are the Russians. They're beginning to accumulate some definite step losses there. We'll see.